Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Desiree Rover, medical research journalist in the Netherlands. Wet and cold these days. Anyway, that doesn't matter at all because in my virtual studio, I have this beautiful, loving guest, Dr. Judith Reisman. Welcome, Judith.
Thank you, Dr. Rova. Yeah.
No, I'm not a doctor. I behave maybe like one, but
we give you all the look. Every mother, every father who does their job is a doctor. Is absolutely so much more valuable and highly rated, than in my field certainly, than engaged in my field. You try and get people convinced of that, and that would be wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
because your field is a field which is a very difficult field. On the one hand, people are mesmerized by it, sort of. Beguiled, and their neurotransmitters in their brains go every which way.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
We are talking about sexuality, pornography, homosexuality, LGBT,
LGBTQI, UNIVU, and I don't know the rest.
No, it's a long list. Yes, and every day
it's longer daily, minute by minute. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say too. Yeah, right. So where do we start, Dr. Reisman? Because, I found a book from 1987, and that was a sort of I sent you the link also. It's a sort of a playbook towards the acceptance of homosexuality.
Oh.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter.
I can take a look at that. I'm sorry. There was one of many, though, but go on. Yeah.
Yeah, because
in the Netherlands, or is that in the Netherlands, or is that American? Or?
No, it's an American book. It's an American.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
But what I try to say with that is that the acceptance of homosexuality was an agenda.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And very hard, very fast, very direct. After you got feminism put into place, the next step would be LGB. And LGB, no, just L and G. Yeah, L, it's just the male, female, and then B, and then the rest after that.
Yeah. We are basically talking about the most sacred part of human life, procreation.
Yes.
And it has been, abused in every way you can think of.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it is very hard to be a young child in these days because just as these children never have seen a really blue sky without chemtrails, their normal is these white stripes in the air. They also have never experienced a time where sexuality was bound to morals and directives and
control.
Control.
Self-control and also social control. Exactly. Now social control is completely opposite. The social control, all right, is completely different. No borders.
No.
No borders. It's like the immigration issue. No borders, let everything in, don't check to see who the immigrant is, if the person has a disease, if they're here because they want to rape and mutilate, or if they're a decent person trying to get a job, but they haven't had a chance. So don't check for that. Just let it all pour in. Well, that's what's happened with the social construction of human sexuality today, and it's had very serious ramifications, as you know only too well, from the standpoint of vaccine, the massive money made by big pharma,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the control of the citizenry, enslavement of the citizenry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is absolutely, that's what the aim was.
Yes,
and moving toward that.
And in these days, when you think it is bad, it can even get worse by day by day.
Oh yes. Yeah. I mean, when I think of how it can get worse, I think of that Cambridge ethics professor Singer, oh gracious, who says that you should be able to decide whether you want to keep your baby, I think, when it's until it's 2 months old. And I think then you should be able to get rid of it, kill it,
At 2 months of age.
Oh yeah. I think yeah, I think he extended it to because he says, it's very logical. He says, the baby has no inherent knowledge of itself, and so then its value really is up to the parents. And if the parents find that baby is either not good looking enough or, doesn't have the right, maybe it cries too much. I don't know. You should be able to get rid of it. And he of course heads the ethics department. I mean, I love some of our ethics professors,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's very dangerous, very dangerous.
Yes.
And we're living in difficult times. Every time, I suppose, is difficult, but yeah, very, very.
Everything is upside down today.
Yeah, yeah. And people don't even know. I mean, talk about the little boy saying the emperor has no clothes. Having no clothes is perfectly fine. You can walk down the street with no clothes,
Yeah.
So why would the child say, oh, but the emperor has no clothes? Well, no, a lot of people don't have any clothes out in their parades and whatnot.
Yeah.
But that gets back to the issue that you raised, which is the sanctity of that marriage of the male and the female, of the sexual act, the sanctity of the human body, which is connected to the human soul, which is connected to human survival as humans, or maybe not.
Yeah. And your work has started maybe with the moment that Alfred Kinsey came with his books, the sexual
behavior in the human male, 1948.
Yes.
Sexual behavior in the human female, 1953. Yeah. Which coincided in 1953 with the production of Playboy magazine, which also came out in 50.
Same year, yeah.
And with its publisher, Hugh Hefner, having read the 1948 Kinsey book. And Hugh Hefner, having been a virgin, like most guys were in those years, at age 22 in college, he was educated now. He went to college. This is great. And he read Kinsey's book. And he said, I quote, he says, Kinsey was the scientist. I will be his pamphleteer.
Oh, wow.
His pamphleteer. And then 1953, when the female book came out, it came out with Playboy magazine and their view of women and females, women and children, female children and little boys, which corresponded completely with Kinsey. And he meant it to. Hefner prided himself on that. publishing all of his philosophies in the first years of his reign. And that spun, of course, out into the pornography revolution.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And for the public, not everybody knows who Alfred Kinsey is. Can you describe him? He was quite a number.
Yes, so interesting. Everybody knows, of course, who Hugh Hefner is.
Yeah.
They won't know in about 5-10 years. They'll forget.
Oh, no. Yeah.
But they'll probably still know what Playboy is. Alfred Kinsey came on the scene. He was a tool of the Rockefeller Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
He was nobody. He was a biologist who measured the wing spread of gall wasps. The gall wasp is about yay big. But anyway, and he measured the wing spread of gall wasps, which he extended to little babies and children to their genitals, but later. But anyway, he was not anybody in particular. And but he had the kind of deviant sexual conduct, sexual behavior, of course, that was completely illegal in the United States and most of the worldwide. And he needed to try to make all that legal. And the Rockefellers met with him early on and found a companionship with Kinsey, with the foundation. And the foundation being extremely prestigious and effectual. I mean, they had to be because they were hated before that, a few years before that. We won't go into that. But anyway, so they said that they were going to fund all of Kinsey's research on human sexuality because they were concerned, of course, about prostitution and venereal disease. And of course, they were not at all. And so they funded Kinsey to do his research on human sexuality. He said, there's no information out on human sexuality. People don't even know where babies come from. I mean, it's so ludicrous when Anyway, and there was a film starring Liam Neeson called Kinsey. I don't know if you had the opportunity or...
I haven't. No, yeah, I have seen parts of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So where Liam Neeson plays Kinsey as a hero. He's a hero, pioneer in the field of human sexuality. Well, the fact is he was a pederast, not a pedophile, a pederast, I would argue. The reason I would argue that is that most of his research was on little boys, and actually it was up to 2,035 children that he manipulated. That he and his team, we don't know who did what there, but they sexually abused these children to get what they called orgasms in little babies and so on. And I mean, this is the most famous research on human sexuality in the world. Yeah. Okay. And they were testing these children up to 24 hours at a time, round the clock experiments on babies. We don't know how many died because they never published that, but we certainly do know certain things because they published the charts and the graphs. I'll happily send them to you so you can use them in this document, Yeah. Because they shock people when they see them. They see a 5-month-old has orgasms, and the amount of time it took the 5-year-old to have the orgasms. And then there's a 4-year-old had 26 orgasms in 24 hours, right? And Kinsey claimed that these were important, data. Yeah. Now, of course, we see what's going on all over the world now. I mean, priest pedophiles. Well, everybody learned their sexuality from Kinsey after that, and everybody did. So, and so these children, when I saw this material in the book, in his book, Sexual Behavior in the Human Male, I thought, I'm looking at charts and graphs of torture of little children. What? And he's calling these orgasms. I was a married woman. I'd had kids. I knew what an orgasm was. And I looked up, I thought, well, he won't publish what he calls an orgasm. That's ridiculous. So I look it up and there it is, orgasm. So I turned to the pages on orgasm in children. And he says there were, he used a group of children under 12, all of them under 12, and measured them over time. He said he divided them into 6 categories, 6 types, he said, types. Let's be accurate. And he said that some of the children screamed, writhed in pain. There was hysterical crying, especially amongst the younger children. Quotes, especially amongst the younger children. Some fainted, some had convulsions. And this is torture he's describing, right? I'm reading this and I'm thinking, am I the only person in the world that's thinking that this is insane? And at the bottom of the page, it was 2 pages, the bottom of the page, he says, and some of the children struck their partner. Partner, that's the guy who's raping the child, yeah? Struck their partner and tried to get away. And at the bottom of the page, he says, but certainly they enjoyed the experience. The children all enjoyed the experience and guaranteed that they enjoyed it because, he said, they returned for more of the same, said he. Well, that means, I said to myself, this guy is a sadomasochistic pedophile, a sadomasochistic pederast. There's no one else who would ever perceive these behaviors, as normal for adults, much less for children. Every time you have sex, you faint, you have convulsions. What is that about? This is not a healthy way to raise, to conduct your affairs.
Definitely not.
That got me kind of interested. And I thought, I'll just tell people and I'll, write a paper and get it out and people will do something about this right away.
Yeah. It didn't work out that way quite like that, huh? No.
Not quite.
I found table 34. That is the one you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
I can show that right now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, just a second. Here we go.
The magic.
Yeah, it's magic. I see whether I can do it.
Oh my gosh. Ah, yes. Yeah. There it is. A 5-month-old, he said, had 3 orgasms, right?
Yes.
He doesn't give us the time there. He's very, very honest, yeah. Honest, yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't have the timing down right. They used a stopwatch. They recorded all this with a stopwatch. He says the little 2-year-old, and 2 minutes, a baby every 9 minutes. I broke this out in my book, and there's the 4-year-old, which with 26 orgasms.
Yeah, 24 hours.
Yeah.
God.
That is an around-the-clock experiment.
Yeah.
A baby sleeps. A 4-year-old is supposed to sleep at some point. They would be waking this child up every 2 seconds to do this to them, to the child. And this becomes the most famous research in the world. And we have problems up the wazoo sexually. No wonder we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that becomes, that of course entered into the universities. All the, we had all of our smart professors, our doctors, repeating everything that they read in Kinsey. And then from there, it moved into our laws immediately thereafter, 1950.
Yeah. That is totally amazing. And the velocity of today's moving into law of same-sex marriage, they try to legalize pedophilia. And God.
It's all based on Dr. Kinsey. Yeah. But look, you have to understand there was absolutely no field of human sexuality, no field. People had sexual problems. They went to their doctor, or they went to their rabbi or their priest or something, religious help. And okay, they didn't always get the kind of information, who knows, but if you look at the data in 1940s, 50s, you compare venereal disease, you compare divorce rates, you compare everything, rape, you name it. All of your sexual activity is at the bottom of the scale. Everything is off the charts since. And so, there was no field, absolutely nada. No, it did not exist. Kinsey was the first to claim that there's a field of human sexuality. And in order to say anything about it, the claim that 10 to 37% of the population is homosexual came straight from Kinsey. That all these claims about abortion being harmless came straight from Kinsey. The claim that, there's nothing that's happening today. School sex education in the classroom. Come on. We are killing our children.
Yes, I agree. I try, I have a presentation about sexuality, and I try to explain that we are wired for one single significant other in our life.
To bond to that.
To bond, and our whole brain chemistry, all the neurotransmitters are geared to create that bonding and the trust and the love and the, you name it. And when children,
God wouldn't have it any other way, I think, eh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah. And when kids, children, youth, how you call them, teenagers, are starting to experiment because of the sexual education they had in school, then that mechanism of bonding is like a Band-Aid that you have torn off 7 times. The 8th time, it won't stick anymore.
Yeah.
And that leads, especially among boys, young men, to a lot of suicide, because they, like with an addiction, they try to get that first rush again with someone. And it's impossible.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And they feel how they cannot make that true, real, significant connection anymore.
Well, they view whoever they're with, whatever female, let's say it's female.
Let's keep it simple.
They're viewing, first of all, there's always fear and shame in all of this. And that's what's causing the most arousal. And when you have fear and shame, and you have to label what's happening to you, which you understand genitally is sexual, you're going to label that fear and shame sexual. You think, oh, okay, I'm aroused, because I'm sexually aroused. Well, Sarah, Barbara, whatever, she doesn't do the same arousal. shame, the second time around, because it's all effort. I'm reminded that Hefner in the first issue, his maiden issue, advocated getting rid of the girl's virginity to all the college kids. You have to help get rid of her virginity. You're doing her a favor. Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
then like pollinating a flower, move on to the next one. Don't stay with her. Well, he feels shame, and his fear, and of course he's always going to think, how could she allow this, right? So there's resentment toward the female he's had, right? Doesn't matter that he's tricked her or that whatever, or that she's having sex with him, and doesn't matter which direction, because all pornography, of course, is homosexual, all of it. And there's nothing that goes on in the pornographic world that is not being taught as a homosexual activity. Nothing. Yeah. I mean, the Judeo-Christian belief system prohibited most of what is now part of the daily view of human sexuality. I mean, you're talking about going out all over, so there may be some kids, but anyway. So nothing a guy thinks he's engaged in a heterosexual relationship. That's not what's happening. No, not at all. If he was, he would be, as you said, he would be bonding to one person. That is a heterosexual relationship. Yeah. Bonding one beloved and all the things that went with that. But since he cannot, he's got to blame somebody, right?
Yeah.
And of course, the pornography is deeply enmeshed in all this. Guys seeing women, very high rate of consumption of pornography and behavior, pornographic behavior amongst our women today, especially our teachers being caught right and left, female teachers, having sex with their students. How did that happen? Yeah, well, that's what happens when the borders are on and everything is allowed to flood in. And then everybody looks around and they think, what am I doing? No, it's not what you're doing. It's what you've been taught.
Yeah. You've been waylaid. Yeah.
Hijacked like crazy.
Yeah.
And now is, first thing, that's one of the reasons you had the feminist movement, was to get the women out of the house into the productive wage earning world so that they could make more money for others, and away from the volunteer work that they used to do, and more of the kids earlier and earlier being controlled by the school system.
By the state. Yes, exactly. Yeah. That is why I am babysitting my granddaughter.
Right.
I don't want any stranger around her. No.
No, not, and I not, and females are becoming part of that problem. They had to be. They had to be. I mean, they're raised with the pornography also.
Yep.
Most women feel, they're always being compared to yesterday's, centerfold. And of course it's not centerfold anymore. It's what you get on the screen.
Everywhere. No escape.
Yeah. So, and they're changing their bodies and they're cutting up their bodies and they're doing, oh my gosh, it used to just be the makeup and you say, well, you're trying to make up for something. Oh, no, you have to do that. Now, are you kidding? Cut and paste. And it isn't just the transgenders that cut and paste.
No. They all of them do it. All the women in Amsterdam have these artificial eyebrows today.
Oh, yeah.
Great paint jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And when what I see is when they pose for a selfie or a photograph somebody else makes with his telephone, they all have this very sexual stance.
Oh yeah, yeah. The arm this way and the hip out. Where do they think they learned that from?
Yes, exactly. And it's like a Pavlov reaction. There is a camera and boom, there comes the pose.
Yeah. See, I'm hot stuff too. Oh my. And the little kids, little ones will do it.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty tragic. I say, and I did a video for a group that the courageous Captain Courageous. No. Anyway, it's a pornographic recovery, recovery group for men, Christian, and courage. Something, it's got courage in the title.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of the guys came to hear me speak another time, and they came up to me because I had just a little piece in this video. It was mostly all guys. I was the token female, which made me very happy,
Oh, yes.
I'm a token female. That's okay. Because I'm a nice old lady, I'm not threatening anybody. Anyway, they came up to me and they all were going, choose me, because I had done in the video a piece where I was talking about the wasps, not the gall wasps. That was Kinsey. I keep saying the gypsy moths, and the story about the gypsy moths being let out all over the country in the United States. Did you read about this one?
Nope.
It's so interesting. It's like the butterflies. That's another one. But anyway, so they let these gypsy moths out because they thought it would be really good. We'll create a silk industry. They'll reproduce. They'll do their little silk thing. They'll make silk. Well, instead, they started decimating all the trees in the nation. We had just a brutal.
Oh.
Yeah, they were eating all the trees, right? The foliage.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And this was not good. So they tried everything to get these moths, the gypsy moths, to stop reproducing. Yeah. We weren't going to have any trees left, just a bunch of sticks. Anyway, so finally somebody had the brilliant idea that you could throw out pellets of scent, odor that would super normal pheromones, super normal of the gypsy moth, the female, right?
Yeah.
So they did that. They started spreading these all over the forest and so on. And lo and behold, the male gypsy moths would bang up against things and they will die looking for that smell. While the other little lady gypsy moths were flying around, and I said, they were saying, choose me,
Yeah.
And that is the essence of pornography.
Yeah.
Is choosing, is becoming overwhelmed by the supernormal stimuli that these kids are receiving even when they're young, 6 years old.
Yeah.
Six. And so they are looking for that kind of supernormal stimuli, which is one of the reasons that these girls, portray themselves in various ways and so on. But, and it applies to homosexuality too. The homosexual is addicted for the most part to young, buff. They have, and I did a lot of research on that. I should send it to you.
Yeah, please.
So.
Yeah. I'm amazed. In Amsterdam, we have the Gay Pride Parade.
Ooh, yeah.
And I once saw one such a parade from 70 meters above sea level from a church at the top. And I thought that is the best distance to keep from a thing like that.
Yeah, no.
And then I hear people go to Amsterdam to go see the Gay Pride Parade because it's such a festive thing and it's such fun. And I thought, and then I think, geez, think what it stands for, what it really means.
Tragic. Tragic. You're looking, for the most part, of, as you know, at a whole parade of guys, if however they are, who've been sexually abused as boys. You know, for the most part, you're looking at the reactions, at how they're trying to deal with what happened to them when their father left, when they were messed over by the local whatever coach, all that sort of thing. I went to one of those parades, and I was very close. I was doing a speech, and some people said to me, "Come on, there's this parade tomorrow, and would you like to go?" So I said, "Yeah, I'll go." So I went, and I was so close to this parade, and they were all done up or done down or whatever in sadomasochistic stuff, the whips and the cross. They were dressed as Nazis, by the way. Very important point. Oh, there's a lot of Nazi stuff. Okay. Dressed really with the Luftwaffe cap and so on. And no clothes except for the little thing here or there. And and I saw one of the guys came, strutting up to us, and he was performing a little bit. And the next day, I read in the paper about Jeffrey Dahmer. He was at that parade. You remember Jeffrey Dahmer?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, he's an American. He was at the parade, and he picked out a boy, and he carved him up and did it was horrible. I'm not going to I won't go into the details, but he became quite famous. And it was Jeffrey Dahmer that I was watching in those sadomasochistic pieces on his body.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that parade. That was who I saw.
Oh, gosh.
And a lot of the people, of course, they didn't know, but that was going on throughout the parade.
I have another nice picture to show from my presentation. This is from a Gay Pride Parade. But this one guy doesn't look too happy in the pink. He looks scared out of his wits to me.
Well, he should be.
Yeah.
I mean, this looks like a femme, and next to him is the guy who's going to torture him, I mean, that's part of the deal.
Yeah.
And you have to say, well, what can you say about people who celebrate being tortured?
Amazing.
You see, these are people who are suffering unbelievably. And people think you're doing them a favor by encouraging children to engage in this kind of activity. I don't know if you have the libraries with the the drag queens here in the United States. We now have our libraries.
They're reading to the children, the drag queen. God, do they look awful? Yeah. Oh, horrible.
And the drag queens they've stated, this is true, we are here to recruit, to groom the children.
Yes.
And they do. And the parents, you have a lot there's a poor man whose little boy is being made into a girl by his crazy wife. Did you read about that?
Well,
And
there are several cases like that, yes. And
he's
botched,
gonna lose, yeah, he's going to lose custody of the boy because the wife always wanted a little girl.
oh my God, yeah.
Right? And so now she has this boy, she's stuck with this boy. So she dresses him as a little girl and does his hair and, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Well, I mean, we've always had people like that. We've always had, you know, people who were disappointed with the child that they had. And we have, that happens a lot with women who make their child into girls when they're boys. Yeah.
Mm.
But to have it given the imprimatur of progressive.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. And that's what's happening. You know, what can I say? People have got to wake up and protect their kids and protect other kids.
It's the same sort of mechanism that I see with parents who are divorced, and the wife doesn't want to vaccinate, and the ex-husband does want to. Oh, and then that war over the head of the child. Oh God! And this is even the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
And there is that tragic story of the twin boys that got circumcised, and one of the operations.
Oh yes, John Money. Yeah, John Money
into a girl, and this boy who was a girl always felt something was not right, and eventually both twins suicide.
Yeah, but they're John Money, Dr. John Money of Johns Hopkins.
Yeah.
Was the one who convinced the mother and father that they had to raise him as a girl because he would be just fine. He would be like any other girl, except that he couldn't have children. Well, you know, it's the price you pay. People can't have children sometimes. Yeah. So they did their very best to, and she said, do not let him know that him that is a boy, you know, raise him in his clothing, in your language, call him, I forgot what he was called, but anyway, call him by the girl, and he'll be just fine. She will be fine. Well, you know, she was being photographed by John Money in the nude.
Lovely. Yeah.
With and forced into these behaviors, you know, with his brother. Yeah. You know, certainly they committed suicide. What do you think happens to children who are so absolutely abused for the political and social experimentation justice warriors of their PhD doctors who have their own, you know, their own agenda? Yeah, we say. Yeah. We certainly did. John Money was interviewed in the Journal of Pedophilia. John Money of Johns Hopkins University, was interviewed in the Journal of Pedophilia. And in that journal, he not only advocated, and it's in print, I'll send it to you if you need to have documentation. He not only advocated that there should be an end to age of consent, absolutely, end to age of consent, which, you know, others advocate. Yeah, it's good. But he also described a man and his partner. Now he's in the Journal of Pedophilia. The partner is going to be a boy, you know, a sexual suicide pact. And one of them dies, i.e. the boy gets, you know, is killed, right? You know, I mean, figure that one out. And he says, now, what should be the issue here? What should be the problem? The problem, said he, is one of consent. Did he give consent? Well, we have rough sex defense here in this country. You probably have it over there. You're so forward looking too. And the rough sex defense is she's dead, and he claims that she agreed to all this kind of monkey business. So it's okay that she died, of their sex fun. That's how far this thing goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't understand it.
You take away the borders. You take away the borders.
Yes, absolutely. With everything. Yeah. Yeah. So I had this mother here with two daughters. They were 15 and 17 years old at the time. And the mother had asked me to give my sexuality presentation to her and her daughters.
Okay.
So I gave the presentation, and with the whole explanation about the neurotransmitters, that the brain does all sorts of things to create a bonding. And, and then I was done, and they said, yeah, it was nice. And then it turned out that the 17-year-old, when she was 16, had been living with a boy her age in her mother's house as if it was normal. And then I thought, what? This mother, who I thought had her head screwed on right, she lost her way.
Yeah.
Totally.
Look, I don't know what to say. People, look, everywhere they turn, mothers, fathers, in movies, in books, in school lessons. Look, she's been trained. Remember, I keep trying to remind people, Kinsey, by the way, he crossed the borders. I mean, he got into the Netherlands very quickly, he was very accepted. I had some fascinating quotes from some of your ladies, your researchers. But anyway, so, that whole thought process, remember, we were the Americas. We won the war. We saved the world, right? So the Western world looked to us for our knowledge, for our advancement. We were. And so they did. And lo and behold, the results have been absolutely disastrous. Every theory that Kinsey had, everything was sent into every other country and picked up and translated immediately. By the way, you could do with getting somebody to translate my books in the Netherlands. Yeah. Anytime anybody wants, they translated them into French, 2 of them, and into Croatian.
Okay, yeah.
But you're not going to get any of this information anywhere else. You're just not.
Not true.
Yeah. Anyway, so what happened in the United States moved into every country in the world. So what you've had is 3 generations of training of mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers, and I'm not excusing people, quote unquote, except that what can you do? So she thought we'll let her keep the guy under our roof.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, safer. I'll give her the pill. That'll
yeah, great idea.
Completely, in X number of years, but it's gonna be great,
Yeah.
She's always hoping that eventually the boy will ask the girl to marry him. Because, by the way, as free and happy as all our feminists are, they're always waiting for the guy to ask them to marry him. Yeah?
Yeah.
They're always waiting.
Yeah, it's peculiar, but when I was young and feminism came up, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. Intuitively, I had something like, ooh, No, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
And I found the women who were propagating it in Holland. They were not women, certainly not ladies.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now,
Oh,
yeah, I've watched some of you've seen some of Jordan Peterson's interviews.
no.
Oh, well, you ought to try and yeah, he was in Holland, in the Netherlands for a while. But, well, forget it that it's necessarily him, but anyone who objects to transgender language, you're cis, you're not normal. I mean,
Yeah, you are
words,
correct.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So these kids now throughout this country, I can say, well, no, everywhere. I've seen it wherever he's been, which has been worldwide. Your students who are learning in their universities, right? How to be civilized men and women, right? They scream, they yell, they use the 4-letter words starting with F.
Mm-mm.
F you, F you, you, F you. I mean, it's as though they don't have any other word.
And they don't know what it means, because it means fornication under consent of the king.
I love that.
That's what the word means. Yes.
Oh, really? All right. I looked it up. Yeah, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not bad. Maybe it's not.
It's not really bad, no.
But I mean, their faces, their fury, and it's not as though they have any understanding of what they're objecting to. So that's your fourth generation.
Yeah.
These are the kids who are going to be educating.
Yeah.
I have a granddaughter. I was talking with her about some of this, and she says, yeah. She says, I always wondered, she said, the girls who are going into education when I went to school, she says, they were all horrible. And I used to think, my gosh, you're absolutely the most, I would hate to have you teach my children,
Yes. Yeah.
And I said to them, why are you going into education? Well, I mean, why wouldn't they? There's nothing that's simpler. You can get a degree in, I mean, and then you can control all these children any way that you see fit. And a lot of times it's sexually.
Mm-hmm.
We've read, I mean, the data on our 85%. Let me see if I get that right. That's right. Yeah. 85% of the sex abuse of kids in the educational system, 85% are women who are abusers.
Whoa.
Now, you have to admit, that there are a lot more women, teaching, but this is per capita. I mean, that it is so skewed. The women are just taking it out on the kids. And that's where they have some power, I mean, this has all been for power. Yeah, that's where they have, and they fall in love with the boy that they're having sex with, having his babies, that kind of thing. That has happened too often, Yeah, and making our women crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that is what pornography does.
Yep. Because they're using it.
Yeah.
I lectured once years ago at a what was it? It was a Black organization of upscale Black organization. So during the lecture, they were all Black, Black, knowledgeable, skillful people that were talking, and they were very unhappy with the fact that Black men and women were having such terrible time. This was years ago, 80s. And they, why is that? Why is that? Well, I was there as the token white person, and I brought my magazines. I had a copy of Playboy, which had, I'm trying to remember, it was 3 times. Yeah, it was Black Enterprise was the group that sponsored this. It was a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Playboy had 3 times or 4 times the readership of Black males over Black Enterprise. And then I pulled out Penthouse, and Penthouse had double the readership. Black males over Black Enterprise. And then finally Hustler had the same. And, guys cannot grow up as children looking at that garbage. Bad enough that, it was going on in the white community, in the Black community. There were no Black, and I was not advocating for Black women to be in the magazine. This is not the answer. But you're giving people models to yearn for the alpha, because this is great. And afterwards, the women came up to me. The men looked like they were going to lynch me, really. I was happy to be, But afterwards, the women came up to me and they said, "You're absolutely right." They said, "My brother had it under his mattress. My father had it behind my uncle always in and how does the Black female evaluate herself, in comparison to this thing that doesn't even exist in reality anyway?"
Yeah.
Anyway, I get carried away.
It's like Barbie. She doesn't exist either.
Yeah. That was so interesting when they actually did the measurements for Barbie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, well, I am so glad. Sorry?
I said I'm such a cheerful guest.
Yes, you are. It's a subject matter that is a bit difficult, but we have to address it, because I feel as a grandmother that it is my duty to spread the word about, how you say that. It's politically incorrect to phrase it this way, but I don't care.
You're safe with me.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. But how do I, as a grandmother, tell my grandchildren what is the true normal? I had my grandson, 16 years old, next to me in the car. I had dropped off his father at Schiphol Airport. And so he sat in the car with me, no way to go. And I thought, this is my chance. 16 years old, I'm going to tell him about the birds and the bees and the stuff, and the flowers and so on. And I told him, I'm going to tell you one time only. And this is from my lecture. So it's scientifically correct.
Right.
And this and this and this and that. So be pure with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Preserve yourself. Because if you do what everybody else in this crazy society is trying to do, you will not survive. And look around, people in your environment, how many are happy together? His own mother isn't. And then 3 weeks later, when I went up to pick up my eldest son, he was with me in the car again. And then he started asking me some questions. And I thought, oh gosh, I did right here. And it was so sweet, and it was beautiful to have that encounter with him, that conversation with him. It was honest, it was pure, and I had the opportunity to say what I needed to say to him, and he took it perfectly. Really great. And I was so grateful.
We try every opportunity that we have.
Yes.
And by the way, don't put down the religious aspect. I really, although the religious is infected like everything else, still the religious beliefs that formed the Judeo-Christian nations, which are absolutely the best, you know,
Yeah.
best deal, you know, have relied for thousands of years on those kinds of rules and restrictions.
Absolutely. And yeah.
We have not replaced it with anything of value.
No, everything degrades. It's amazing. And how quick that goes. So yes, as grandmothers, we have this task, at least the ones of us among us who have this consciousness about it.
Yep.
Because I see many grandmothers being, how you say, manipulated by their hormones still.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's sad.
It's
that is so sad.
Yeah, it's pathetic, but I can see it around me.
Oh, that is so sad. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
It's a question of not having fulfilled your destiny.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And, you know, if you do not fulfill your natural destiny, you can, you can get rooted in those, in a time frame, in a time warp.
Yeah.
And think that you're 17 when you're going on 70. I mean, you know?
Yeah.
And it can be very, very bad. Yeah, actually, now that you mention, I'm thinking of one woman I knew quite well who, who went through that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you have to feel sorry for people like that because they act out of their wounds and not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's always the issue.
Yeah.
They are really, when you see the gay rights march, you know, gay parades.
Yeah.
When you see the kind of thing, the what do we call them in the libraries? The guys, the transgender people in the library.
Yeah.
I mean, these are all such damaged people.
Yeah.
Such damaged people.
And they take their internal wounds with them no matter how they have changed their bodies. It's the same thing like with women who do plastic surgery endlessly. They also bring their internal wounds into the new face, and it doesn't work that way. And there's no one telling them that they're doing the wrong thing in the sense that they try the physical change, but it won't change anything psychologically, emotionally, or whatever.
Cut and paste.
Yeah. It is like, it's like the expression we have in Holland about when you try to have a child. I take a child, they say. Like it is something that you order from the supermarket or something. That's the expression. Ik neem een kind. Yeah. It's crazy.
Huh. Take a child?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Explain that.
Yeah, I take a child as if it's something that you can take from the supermarket. It is not that I'm trying to get pregnant. Yeah, and then they call it taking children, not getting pregnant or so.
That we don't have that here. Now
no, that's why
that's one of the ones we don't have yet. Yeah.
Well, that's Holland for you.
Yeah, you've always been ahead of the game.
Yeah, not a good thing.
No, not. I mean, with all due respect, I mean, my gosh, a nation that opened its hearts, with all due respect, and tried so hard to stand up against fascism, against, evil for so long.
Yeah, well, we are inundated by it now. That's what I see. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that is why I see that task as a grandmother, I take that very seriously. And the awful thing is that when I give my presentations, I have elderly people in the room, not the young ones. And then people say, go to schools, go do your presentation there. And I said, yeah, well, they will lynch me there. I'm not welcome there to tell the story. No, not at all.
No.
You're
not. You won't be.
No.
But there may be some place,
Yeah, well.
Keep as a great grandmother.
No,
I am a great grandmother. Yeah. Yeah, we have obligations.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
And it's not easy.
And it's
important to take it to those old folks, to tell you the truth. They're as much the ones who are important for their children and their grandchildren as anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
They should be informed. They are not informed.
No. Well, so that helps when they come to my talks.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the feeling that it's for nothing that I do the talks, but I would love to see some younger people in there as well. Yeah.
Well, the younger people will be attainable through this kind of system,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I try to direct people to my videos, not mine, the documentaries on my site.
Yes.
The one, Kinsey's Pedophiles, by it's not the BBC, it's Channel 4 Yorkshire Television, which I thought was brilliant, by Tim Tate, was the producer of that video. And it's enough to make, well, my gosh, it's fabulous. And also the other one, which is 2.5 hours, I think. I said to the guy, I don't think anybody's going to watch this. 2.5 hours. He said, we've got to tell them everything. That was the Kinsey syndrome.
Oh, yeah. I see it here on your site. Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
drjudithriesman.com.
Yeah. So I send people, please tell them to go to my site, and I have to figure out how to have a thing where I interview people too, like this, on a, that's where it's at. That's where the young people do learn. Oh, yeah. Look. Yeah.
Here's the page.
Yeah. Oh, and the one below that. Oh, that's wonderful. That's the one where, that one. Oh, they had me all, fancied up. Yeah, with the makeup and everything. Whoa, see. I don't even know that lady. Yeah, I don't even know that lady. But that was the interview that Fox did, Fox Television, with me after I went to the Before You Act pedophile conference, a conference of pedophiles, by pedophiles, for pedophiles, There were, it was very interesting. And the reason I went was because Dr. Fred Berlin, who was at Johns Hopkins University, and he was in charge of, he does a big thing on sexual assault and all that kind of thing. He was giving a keynote speech at this conference by pedophiles, for pedophiles, with pedophiles, right? I'm thinking, what the blazes is that all about? So yeah, he was there, and he was saying, pedophiles, pederasts, it's not so terrible. These are not monsters. That's the standard term. These are not monsters. No, they're not. But that doesn't mean you let them out in your society.
No, that's another thing. Yes.
Yeah. So we did that. They did that interview, that one interview, which was really important because he was, Fred Berlin was a major consultant, as was John Money,
Mm-hmm.
to the Catholic Church.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. When the Catholic Church started having problems back in, I guess it was in the 70s, Fred Berlin and John Money of Johns Hopkins were the ones who were recommended to the Catholic Church to take care of this priest abuse problem. Yeah?
Yeah.
These guys will take care of everything, said the head of St. Luke's, which is the recovery group, and who died of AIDS, shortly thereafter. He was pedophile, and also pederast, actually, not a pedophile. I would say they were all, they were all pederasts, but Money, anyway, I can't say for sure about Berlin. But anyway, so he still teaches there, and he still directs everything about human sexuality.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Johns Hopkins. And you're familiar with this guy, Archibald. Yeah, Reginald Archibald. Today, you can look him up. Reginald Archibald, he's dead. He was a doctor of pediatrics at Rockefeller Institute of Medicine, Rockefeller, and he's a medical doctor. And he abused at minimum, apparently, 300 boys.
Oh.
Yeah. And he was doing it at the same time that Kinsey was. They were both, and guess what? They were both Rockefeller people.
Oh,
Kinsey was a Rockefeller Foundation grantee. And this guy was, the institute was run by the Rockefeller Institute. So, it was funded by Rockefeller, right? So, and they were both doing this kind of measuring that we had on table 34.
Yeah.
The same kind of measuring. And and in my research, I have found other examples across the country of other experts who are engaged in similar issues, ways of measuring, looking at kids and doing this. So the Rockefeller Institute is now being sued up the wazoo.
Oh, good.
For these kids being abused all this time. And I'm saying you've got to find the connection between Archibald and Kinsey, because there has got to be a connection. At the same time, he's doing that measure. He was measuring these little boys for motile sperm. How do you measure little boys?
Yeah.
Motile sperm. And this was in the 40s. You're talking about microscopic examination, has to be done immediately. Where was it going on? Where did they do that? Right?
Yeah.
You have to be there, pick up the sperm, and to check for motility, take it into a research institute quickly. It had to be within 24 hours.
Yeah.
So, all this was going on in the 40s and 50s.
Oh, wow.
Anyway.
Yeah.
How was your Thanksgiving? And I hope you have a nice Christmas.
Yeah, something like that. Yes. Oh, gosh. Yes. So, Judith, what else can we do to help people point their noses in the right direction?
Well, I think they just have to be taught as much as possible to have faith in their own belief systems. Yeah. They stop listening to these so-called experts. These people are the people who have led us down the garden path in every area, from vaccines and air and environment and immigration and everything.
Yeah.
They have, and we have to understand that it's in their interests, these agencies, to control our minds and to control, more importantly, to control our children's minds. Yeah. So I think it's extremely important to get this kind of information to the public, because I think the public, I mean, they've got to be reassured about their own intelligence, about their own understanding when things bother them, when they have a sense this is not right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's for children, it's very hard to stand up against what all the other children think is normal. And if they feel they don't want to do it, they are the odd one out. And then that's a difficult position. So as a parent, you should reinforce your child. So that's what my show is called, the Minority of One Report. Even if you are a minority of one, the truth is still the truth.
Absolutely. And often that's all kids need is, I mean, I raised my 4. They were always odd man out, they always were.
Yeah.
But I just, hammered home. I think I did it reasonably successfully, apparently. But, this is a while ago, but still, that they had to, because they've transferred much of that to the grandkids, that they had to stand on their own integrity. They are their own person. They can speak out about things, and not be afraid somebody's going to call you a name, that sort of thing. And they've got to be given the strength to understand that, they can each be a minority of one.
Yeah, and that it is okay. Yeah.
It's so okay.
Yeah. 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 As long as they feel deep inside that it is their truth.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, otherwise, what have we? We have no civilization.
No.
We have no people quite easily step aside and let others batter and light fuses on the beard of the Jew, right? I mean, during World War II, everybody stood aside. Germany was the most well-educated country in the world.
Still is.
They had the highest number. They would go to the operas more than any other country, more than any other people. Bought more books, read more. They were so well educated, but they let themselves get led by the nose because they did not stand up. Mm-hmm. And look at the result.
Yeah.
In Russia, I have to say, for the Russians, Stalin just massacred by the millions. I mean, there weren't that many, that were that educated, so we'll have to give them a little credit there, but the Germans.
Yeah. So, it is
a minority of one. Yeah. I like that.
To be the minority of one.
Spreads out and becomes a majority of many.
Yes, exactly. And it starts with one person who stands up, because if people have an example, there will be followers.
Yeah, because they'll have a sense that something's right. This guy, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
You have to look that up.
Mm-hmm.
He's all over the web, all over the YouTube. He has thousands and thousands and thousands of young followers now, and young.
Yeah.
And most of them young men. He was a research psychologist in Toronto, and clinical psychologist in Toronto, and for years. And in Canada, they mandated that you had to use those terms. And he said, no. He said, he's read the legislation. Nobody's going to tell me, that I have to change my language.
Yeah.
What is that about? No way. So he said, I won't do that. Well, that tipped the scale. And for the past year and a half, he's been picking up thousands and thousands. They come to his lectures, these young men, mostly young men, come to his lectures.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. And they are so thrilled to hear him, because what he says is, take responsibility. Stand up, and pick up your burden and take responsibility for yourself. And, things will be better for you if you do.
Mm-hmm.
And by golly, it is. I mean, it's happening. It's amazing.
Yeah, Canadian. I see him here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have his website here. I'll show it.
Yeah, please.
Come up.
He was in the Netherlands just shortly.
Okay. Shortly. Yeah, well, missed that. But he will be here again, I suppose. And I can do also a conversation with him about the subject.
Oh, yes. And tell him I want to talk to him.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. It's coming in very slowly. So, okay. Yeah, there we go. Maybe, yeah, here. It is his site.
Okay, there. Oh, yeah, he wrote this one, 12 Rules for Life.
Yeah.
An Antidote to Chaos. And his big winning, go down a little bit, is there any? Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Notes on a Dream in Oslo. I know those statues where he's at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's having a tremendous impact. Really.
Oh, yeah. University of Amsterdam, October 31.
Yeah.
He was here. Yeah. Oh, that must be on. Yeah. Must have been. That's a show that I know on Dutch television.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So
you will enjoy him.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yes, really.
Yeah.
Really.
Uh-huh.
He speaks very, very frankly,
mm-hmm.
And he's very anti. He says Stalin killed, what? Let's see. Hitler killed 6 million. Stalin killed 60 million. I mean, give me,
Yeah,
and yet we have our colleges and our humanities teaching kids socialism is going to it's going to be a great thing. We can really well.
If it's not socialism, it's communism. That is great. Yeah.
Right. It's going to be great, Yeah. So anyway, it's very impressive. Very impressive. Done a lot of good.
Mm-hmm. But I heard you say you would like to have a show yourself as a platform.
Yeah, I think I should.
Yeah.
At 83, I've got to get all this stuff out as much as possible. And
so I can ask you as a guest some more, of course, but it's better if you have your own show, maybe. So we talk to Biggie about it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Now that's an idea.
I mean, because now we've got this Zoom thing, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So,
and then I can invite you to my show.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And it's not a minority of one anymore.
No. It's a minority of two. Yeah. And it will grow. Yeah.
We try. What are you going to do? But yeah, I'm thinking at 83 years of age, I have got to try and get this stuff out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important, you know. I just lost a dear friend, a doctor in Holland. He was 93. I had him on the phone a week before he died, and he called me his comrade in arms.
Yeah.
And I was going to visit him, but I was too late. But anyway,
Yeah.
this doctor had this overview of 50 years of Western medicine, which is unique.
Yeah.
Because all the young ones now, they have no clue what happened in the 50s.
Right. Right.
And it's so important to know your history. That's what I see all the time. You need to know what came before.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So yes, Judith, chop chop, go to it. Yeah, but it's so important because my friend the doctor, he wrote books about it in Dutch, and people read those books, and he laid his legacy in those books so people can read about it. Yeah,
I do too. I've done, I guess,
you do.
Yeah,
I know.
five books, right, in a way. But I mean, all the research I've done and everything, there, and people don't read.
No, they don't read.
And to a certain extent, I mean, I can understand that because really, there's so much by now that I mean, I was listening to somebody the other day, and he said, oh, and he's talking about all these various books that I'm thinking, oh, I should have read. Oh, yeah, I should read that. Oh, I should read that. Oh,
yeah, I know the feeling.
Holy smokes! And I'm considered well read.
Yeah,
but I don't consider myself well read. You know, I mean, and so at least to get a lot of the historical stuff that I know, you know, that other people do not know.
Yeah, well, can you put that into a flow chart? Can you put that into a timeline or a flow chart or something?
I have a little bit, but I have.
That will help other people to do their research.
But I have so many PowerPoints. See, I could just put the PowerPoints. That's the way to do that, right? I mean, I could just, you know, and go through the PowerPoints with people so that they could see.
Yeah.
They could take the whole PowerPoint, right?
Yeah. You can put it in PDF. Yeah.
No, I mean, the slides even just.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what, so many bloody slides. I mean, so many bloody PowerPoints. And, and I thought, okay, that'll be a way to do it. Now I've done a lot I've used the flow chart, which I love flow charts. I do. But, and some things are best with the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Because the flow chart's there. But all the information that forms the flow chart is there.
Yeah.
So
true.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I have to figure it out.
I know it's a huge undertaking, but yeah.
So any direction I can get from you guys is nice.
Yeah. Okay. We heard that. At your age, you're never done yet.
No, crying out loud. People say, aren't you retired yet? Yeah, well, when you retire, the miserable mess you've made of this, you know, of this world, I can retire. You know?
Yeah.
But there's just so much. Yeah. People have been so badly misled. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Very painful to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I I'll tell you, one of the most successful, when I went to Croatia, I have some lovely pictures when I went to Croatia. Huge. It was really interesting because, you know, it's still leftover communism.
Yeah.
in Croatia. And the guy who was the dean of the College of Government was an old-time commie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the only thing, he took off his red bandana and he put on a red tie. I mean, you know, whatever. But anyway, so so he practically had a heart attack when I lectured. I did a PowerPoint there.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so incensed. He was just so incensed. He was like, you know, how dare you? And I didn't realize at the time that he was still living in the old Soviet Union. I mean, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize what I was up against.
A culture shock. Yeah.
Yeah, really. I didn't know.
No.
I mean, because American universities could be the same, but they hide it still, you know. Anyway, but afterwards, I found the most successful presentation is to put up that table 34.
Yeah.
Then to put up the flow chart that I usually use as to everything that came from it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And people are stunned. What?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You know, and the head of the dean of the medical school was completely on our side. Anyway, at the end, I went to Parliament in Croatia. You know, I like to brag that in the Netherlands, I won the lawsuit against Playboy.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't mention that. So I'm going to brag about that for a minute.
Yeah, go on, brag all you want.
Oh, I enjoyed that. No end. Anyway,
yeah.
When I was in Croatia, went to the Parliament, and I had my flow chart on, it was 8 foot tall, you know, and my table 34, another, I guess maybe 8 foot, you know, on the same there. And I was arguing, they were about to inaugurate the Kinsey methods in all their schools.
Oh, gosh, you were just in time.
Yeah. Well, it was all because a young woman, lovely young woman, you ought to have her on your show. Catalina. Anyway, she was running the Croatian program for the world sort of thing. And she had shown a clip from Kinsey's pedophiles on her program. And this was this is state-run program, right? And the state-run program canceled her right away after she ran this thing. She had about 5-10 minutes of it, you know, but they had a heart attack, right? And they tried Catalina Vlisovic. Never mind. Anyway, so they asked me if I would come and defend her because she was kicked out and all that sort of thing. So that's why I went to Croatia. I said, heck yeah, I'll come. And there was a guy named Sasha. Sasha, what's his last name? Herr Stuhlhofer. Sasha Stuhlhofer. Yeah, Sasha Stuhlhofer. And he was pushing the Kinsey stuff. He had just come back from the Kinsey Institute. And so he was bringing all this great knowledge to the poor Croatian people who are still rooted in a Catholic ideology. That wasn't going to get him anywhere. So I went to Croatia, and it was fascinating. Anyway, the Constitutional Court, which is like our Supreme Court, I don't know what yours is called, but they canceled the sex education program because they said, no, you cannot do this. Yeah. It was being done over the heads of the parents. It was being misled, but there's nothing like that table 34.
Yeah, absolutely. I
to
agree.
convince people if you're going to count on these people as your sexuality researchers, come on. By the way, if I'm looking at you this way, am I looking at you directly? Or if I'm looking at you this way, am I looking at
this way? Yeah.
This way. Yeah. All right. You're bigger on the other screen. Well, anyway. So
I don't know.
yeah. So anyway, so they canceled the sex education curriculum, at which point Stolhofer was absolutely furious with me. It was just great fun. We had great fun. I put up pictures. I have to tell you, my other bragging, I'm going to brag some more.
Yeah,
so, all right. So I put up the pictures, or Tim Tate brought, I guess it was me. Okay. So I was having this debate with Stolhofer from the Kinsey Institute. Very handsome, very impressive, tall guy, bald head, very impressive. And he was challenging me all the time, right? And at the very end of the debate, I pick up my pictures of all the pedophiles that he worked with. And I say, listen, Sasha, why would you do that? Why would you stand up and defend this guy when he was a bloody pedophile? And he's a bloody pedophile, and you've written with him. Oh, he got so mad. And afterwards he came up to me and he said, that was a dirty trick. And I said, what was a dirty trick? He said, showing those pictures, because there's several of them, and he says, that was a dirty trick. So what is a dirty trick about showing the truth? You could have defend yourself, It was great fun. Almost as much fun as winning against Playboy.
Yeah. Yeah, you need moments like that. Yeah. But
it makes it worth it.
Yeah, it is. It does. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Makes it worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Playboy never announced that the results of that lawsuit in the United States. They never announced the results.
Of course not. And I have been trying to find a Dutch television program about that show that you were in.
Oh, yeah, that would be great if you
could. Nowhere to be found. I called left and right. Nope, not there. Nope.
Well, they were so frightened. They were sure that Playboy was going to ruin them. They were absolutely positive that Playboy was going to ruin them.
Yeah.
And I said, don't worry, be happy. I couldn't be sure. So I filled a Foot Locker with pictures and dates and, original stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sent it to the judge and to the TV station. The TV station brought it into the judge.
Okay.
And the judge looked at everything and he said, Dr. Reisman is completely correct. These are kids. They're in bed with men,
Yeah.
There's no question here. This is child pornography. And so then Playboy came back and they said, you're discriminating against us. This isn't fair. And so he said, well, fortunately, I have a Dutch guy who runs my website, by the way. Lovely.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Michael, and what's his last name? Well, anyway, I'll send it to you. He's great.
Okay.
So he's been doing it for years and years and years. He's a lovely guy. He contacted me years ago and he said, Dr. Reisman, he said, he says, I think you're doing wonderful work. He said, but you have an awful website. He said,
yeah.
Would you like to have some help? And I said, great, go for it. Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Anyway, where was I?
Yeah.
Playboy. No, not
Playboy. Yeah. The pictures that you sent to the television station and they.
Oh, yeah. So then the judge responded, yes, that, Well, you have resources in the United States. So just sue her in the United States, because it would be suing me for the same thing. I said that they were child pornographers, that they'd been publishing child pornography and condoning it and normalizing it since 1954, in various ways. And then picking up steam a little bit later, 60s and the 70s, and then in the 80s, so he said, just sue her there, go, and they would never sue me in the United States.
No, not with all the avalanche of proof that you had. No,
I'm happy to be sued by those suckers.
Yeah, let them come on.
Please, I often do that when I'm lecturing. Sue me, go, sue me. Yeah. I'm lying about you.
You're still a naughty girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
Old age does not grant us some, but it allows us some privileges.
Yes, it does. It does.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, well, it's good to have fun also with a subject that is the subject that we were talking about. Yeah. Okay. So we covered a lot of ground. We didn't go to the LGBT thing yet, but the velocity of the way it has been forced down our throats is amazing.
Yeah. Well, a lot of money behind it.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
Same Rockefeller stuff.
Yeah. Rockefeller, Carnegie, Ford, Warburg. Yeah.
Same old. Yeah.
So, they definitely. They almost got exposed in 1954. They got out of that. They almost got exposed in when was the other one? I forgot the other one. And then with me, I had 3 congressional investigations of my research. They did everything they could to except kill me, which frankly they could have done. So, I'm not.
Yeah.
So, they crushed my research into Kinsey, and I'm sure now that was because they knew that it would lead to a lot of information about the LGBT thing that they had prepared. That was in 1983, because Kinsey, is the one who said 10 to 37% of the population is homosexual. So don't worry, it's all normal. And then broke down, that means that X number of military are really homosexual. You're discriminating against millions, and they calculated the whole thing, and X number of dying of AIDS, due to your abusive behavior, and so on and so on. And so I was trying to figure out why the homosexual movement, at the time it was the homosexual movement, it was, there was no lesbian component really. So I was trying to figure out why in the 80s the homosexual movement was so adamant. It was absolutely infuriated with me. I was not able to look at Kinsey, so it wouldn't have been that. I was just dealing with Playboy and Penthouse and Hustler. So, and I thought at the time, stupid me, that these were heterosexual. This was heterosexual pornography. So why would the homosexual movement, be worried about, about that? And so it took me a while to get that figured out, and to understand that pornography in the 80s, as much as it was a problem in the general society, was an absolute obsession for the homosexual movement. They could not live without pornography. It just was something that had to be consumed, Absolutely. I started going into the homosexual bookstores to see what, what was there. I mean, why, why the issue? Why? Didn't make any sense to me. And that's when I discovered the heavy reliance, not only on young, nude as much as possible, white guys. Later there was, they could allow in some darker. There's a lot of discrimination against blacks in the homosexual movement in the beginning, and still, I suppose. And then I go to the back of the room in the bookstores, and there's all this heterosity, all the novels, pictures, everything of boys, sexualized boys. So, wow, now that's, that's a little bit disconcerting.
Yeah.
So then I was working with the statistician, Johnson, Charles Johnson, and we did an analysis of The Advocate, which is the mainstream homosexual magazine at that time. It was the earliest, it was the first, the pioneering kind of thing. And now, of course, it's in all the libraries, in our school libraries.
Even there, yeah.
Yeah. But having said that, the original Advocate that we were looking at, and what we did is we looked at the claims that the homosexual just simply loves like a heterosexual loves. There's no difference, in our desire to be married. This was to promote marriage, of course, at the beginning. So there's, you have to allow us to live our lives with respect and honor, just as, you would have with yours. So we did a lot of digging to find out if that really was true, because that was the basis of the decision on marriage. Was that, there's no different than a heterosexual marriage. There was the same interest, in, and so on. So anyway, we did a lot of work on that, and discovered that if you compare The Advocate, which was the mainstream homosexual publication, again, not lesbian, homosexual only in those beginning years, to the what we call the Washingtonian, which was the same. We had the same demographics, the same psychographics, the same age, sex, race, all finances, voting. They were all liberals, right? So, and we took out all the females from this one, the Washingtonian, and compared the two, right? On all levels, we found that completely different, absolutely different statistically. There's just no way you could compare what the homosexual movement considered important and valued, to what the heterosexual world considered important and valued, even in those, what we looked at was in search of, that is the advertisements that you put out. I would like to have, I'm looking for a lovely woman who between the ages of 25 and 35, who's been married already and who wants to have kids. I don't know, whatever those things are. All those. And we found that there's absolutely no comparison. Homosexual males, again, it was just males. Homosexual males were distinctly interested in one-shot deals. They were interested in the size of your member. They asked,
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no comparison. You know, you put that in the magazine. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So whether you're buff and so on. So we looked to see, was there, for example, in terms of measurements, within the homosexual world, they were looking for structure, for size and so on. And was there anything equivalent to that in the heterosexual material? And no, I mean, you just didn't have guys saying, yeah, I want a woman who's 38, 22, 35. Maybe that's what he wanted, but it sure isn't anything he would say, because no lady would respond to him, you know?
Yeah.
He just would not have women responding. So it's a whole different mental, whole different view.
Yeah.
So we looked at all that and came up with, and I have what I call the briefing book, which goes into all of these measures. And most importantly, I thought anyway, I did a contents analysis of what they call the Queen's Vernacular, which is a book which has the language, now it's becoming common, that's acceptable, that can be used, that reflects the homosexual sensibility, right?
Yeah.
And so we looked at how many words were used to describe child. And there were 267 words.
Oh.
In this book. But they're not the words you would expect. Let's see, I think it was 267. I don't remember now. But there were a lot. I can send it to you. Chicken, it started off with chicken. You know about chicken. So that was to describe a young boy. Butchered chicken. Okay. Butchered chicken.
Can't be good.
No. Head over heels, and then there would be the little explanation as to what that means. And chicken niblet or whatever that was. I've forgotten the rest of it, and slew of words, So then we also looked at the words that were used to describe marriage, the words that would be used to describe women, the word.
Oh, yeah. You sent me that file. I'll show it. The 254 boy words.
Good for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't off, huh?
I'll put it up.
Oh, good. I wasn't that far off, because when I said it, I thought, oh no.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. I got it. Can you see?
Yes. Words. Yeah. And it's a very legitimate dictionary. I mean, within the homosexual.
Here. Chicken, freshly killed, pluck some feathers.
Yeah. Baby Butch, cupcakes, baked, Benny, jail tail. Yeah. These are not, and the point is, none of these are happy words. They're not kind words. They're not the words you would use for human beings. Yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me of the pizza stuff,
Yes.
Yeah. Not good. No.
Yeah, I'm glad you find it.
Well, we almost did our 2 hours.
Okay. All right. Anyway, yeah.
So,
By the way, I should mention. And he also said he interviewed 4,441 women, Kinsey said, and never found anything really that resembled this, a serious rape or anything like that. What? And people, nobody even and they still don't challenge. Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to get that in.
Yeah, good for you. Sure. Well, this isn't the last time we have talked together.
Yeah. How do I say your name properly? Desiree?
Desiree.
Desiree. Oh,
voilà.
Ah,
it's French.
Yes, very pretty.
In Latin, it's desiderata.
Oh, Desiree is easier. Yeah, it's also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Riesman, I had fun with you and I learned a lot again. And we should do this some more because as grandmothers, as I said, we join forces.
Yeah. It's the job of the grandmothers.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I read that somewhere. And I thought, the grandmothers, you've had your kids, right?
Yeah.
They're off doing their thing. Yeah.
You're the keeper of tradition.
Yeah.
And the sacred space. Yeah. Yes.
So we're doing our job.
Yes, we do. And have found fun doing it. Yes. Well, I want to thank you very, very much for your time and your wisdom and your knowledge and all the things that you have done, all the books that you have written. It's amazing. Yes, you truly have a beautiful legacy. It's perfect. Yeah. Very simple. Very simple. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Madame. That's French for I salute you for it.
What did you say then?
Chapeau. Chapeau.
Oh, chapeau. Yes,
madame.
Yes, chapeau, madame. And I'll give you something in Hebrew. You'll love. Kol hakavod. Kol hakavod. All the honor to you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
That's nice too.
Okay. And then, my dear viewers and listeners, this was another show with Dr. Riesman. Her website is drriesman.com. And is that correct? Or is it judithriesman.com? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I haven't. Dr. Dr. Judith Riesman.
Yes, .com. Okay. So I got it right now. Yeah. Okay. And we'll have you back, no doubt.
Thank you.
This was the Minority of One report. And we are with 2 now, at least.
Yes. Minority now of 2.
Yes.
And it goes out. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Humanity has been on an epic journey of discovery, learning the truth about the world we live in. New discoveries about the true origins of humanity, ancient history, free energy, as well as the systematic corruption of world governments are now on the forefront of our daily reality. Is the world headed towards destruction based on control and power? Or is an opportunity now being presented to shift and uplift into a higher consciousness? My name is Mel V, co-founder and creative director of Conscious Consumer Network, an independent broadcast network that was launched on the 1st of January 2015. In the last 3 years, Conscious Consumer Network has broadcast over 2,800 shows in multiple languages, featuring guests from across the world, whilst creating media that is aimed at the creation of a free, fair, peaceful, just, sustainable world. Conscious Consumer Network provides full training and an interactive support network for all broadcasters, and we are always looking for inspiring and educational content.
Hi, this is Lainey Liberty.
And this is Miro Siegel.
In 2018, Conscious Consumer Network has expanded to multiple broadcast locations, increasing our availability and reach across the world, remaining on the cutting edge of independent media. If we wish to create a better world, we must first create better media, geared towards real education instead of indoctrination.
You guys really are what changing the world is going to be about. It's educating kids at a grassroots level.
Having become a pillar of stability in the turbulent world of independent media, we have even more going on in 2018. Conscious Consumer Network is a publicly funded network, and we rely on all of you to keep us on the air. Show your support for independent media by donating to our 2018 Network Support Fund. Dare to seek a better world. Support independent media.